Hello everyone and welcome back to the Travel With Us channel. Today, we will be discussing the top 15 travel destinations to visit in the city of Istanbul. Desired by realms across the hundreds of years, riding both Europe and Asia, Istanbul is one of the world's extraordinary cities. Established around 1000 BC, the settlement of Byzantium developed into the Byzantine Empire's extraordinary capital of Constantinople, and after the Ottoman triumph of the city, held its heavenly spot as the core of their domain. The city, formally renamed Istanbul after the establishment of the Turkish Republic, is generously dissipated with magnificent leftovers of its long and distinguished history. And the vacation destinations here will dazzle even the most landmark, exhausted guest. Just as the large four, the Hagia Sophia Mosque, Topkapi Palace, the Blue Mosque, and Grand Bazaar, pass on sufficient opportunities to investigate different sites. Before we go straight to the core, don't hesitate to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and grab a notification bell to stay within the most recent videos from our side. Hagia Sophia is formerly known as the Holy Hagia Sophia, and previously the Church of Hagia Sophia was built by the Greek geometers Isidore of Miletus and Anthemius of Tralles. Consecrated in 537 as the House of God in the majestic capital of Constantinople, it was the biggest Christian church of the Eastern Roman Empire and the Eastern Orthodox Church. Besides during the Latin Empire from 1204 to 1261, when it was turned into the city's Latin Catholic basilica. In 1453, after the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire, it was changed over into a mosque. In 1935, the Common Republic of Turkey set up it as an exhibition hall. In 2020, it reopened as a mosque. It's said that when the Byzantine Emperor Justinian entered his completed church without precedent for CE 536, he shouted out, "Goodness, Solomon, I outperformed you." The Hagia Sophia, Hagia Sophia in Turkish, was the sovereign's strutting proclamation to the universe of the riches and specialized capacity of his domain. Custom kept up with that the region encompassing the sovereign's high position inside the congregation was the authority focal point of the world. Through its change to a mosque, after the Ottoman armed forces vanquished Constantinople, to its further transformation into an exhibition hall in the 20th century, and its reconversion back into a functioning mosque in 2020, the Hagia Sophia has stayed one of Istanbul's most treasured places. The Topkapi Palace, Ottoman Turkish, Romanized, is a huge historical center in the east of the Fatih region of Istanbul in Turkey. In the 15th and 16th hundreds of years, it filled in as the primary home and authoritative base camp of the Ottoman kings. Development, requested by the Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, started in 1459, 6 years after the victory of Constantinople. Topkapi was initially called the New Palace to separate it from the Old Palace in Bayezid Square. It was given the name Topkapi, which means cannon gate, in the 19th century. First worked by Mehmed the Conqueror in the 15th century, this heavenly castle alongside the Bosphorus was the place where the kings of the Ottoman Empire resided and managed from. The immense complex is an amazing showcase of Islamic craftsmanship, with extravagant yards fixed with complicated hand-painted tilework, connecting a warren of richly enhanced rooms, all limited by battlemented dividers and pinnacles. Of the many features here, the most famous are the harem complex, where the king's numerous courtesans and kids would go through their days. The second court, where you can stroll through the immense royal residence kitchens and feel overwhelmed at the astonishing inside of the imperial council chamber. And the third court, which contained the ruler's private rooms. The third court likewise shows a great assortment of relics of the Prophet Muhammad in the sacred safekeeping room and is home to the imperial treasury, where you're welcomed with a store of sparkling gold items and valuable pearls that will make your eyes water. One of the biggest, most delightful parks in Istanbul, Gulhane, lies right close by the top vacation spot Topkapi Palace. Once simply available to the regal court, its exquisite grounds and gardens are a pleasure, with the recreation area flaunting a few shocking landscapes and heavenly perspectives over the Bosphorus. Well known with local people and sightseers the same, its verdant ways take you past beautiful blossom beds and wellsprings with rich green spaces and forests of trees spotted about. Moreover, it contains the Istanbul Museum of the History of Science and Technology in Islam, and the Sublime Porte, a noteworthy ornate door that once prompted the peripheral yard of the castle. Ruler Ahmet I's great compositional gift to his capital was this excellent mosque, regularly known as the Blue Mosque today. Worked somewhere in the range of 1609 and 1616, the mosque caused chaos all through the Muslim world when it was done, as it had 6 minarets. A 7th minaret was in the end talented to Mecca to stem the contradiction. The mosque gets its moniker from its inside design of a huge number of Islamic tiles. The whole spatial and shading impact of the inside makes the mosque probably the best accomplishment of Ottoman engineering. Having been paid from the public depository rather than from the king's conflict goods, as was done typically, it caused the annoyance of the ulama, the Muslim law specialists. The mosque was based on the site of the royal residence of the Byzantine heads, before the Basilica Hagia Sophia and the Hippodrome, a site of huge representative importance as it ruled the city horizon from the south. Large pieces of the south shore of the mosque lay on the establishments, the vaults of the old Grand Palace. The Galata Bridge is an extension that traverses the Golden Horn in Istanbul, Turkey. From the finish of the 19th century, specifically, the extension has been highlighted in Turkish writing, theater, verse, and books. The expression Galata Bridge is really an aggregate reference to a progressive series of extensions connecting Eminönü and Beyglu since the mid-19th century. The current extension, the 5th known by that name, was created in 1994. It was named after Galata, the previous name of the cutting-edge quarter of Karaköy in the Beyglu area of Istanbul, situated at the northern shore of the Golden Horn. Crossing the broadness of the Golden Horn, the Galata Bridge is one of Istanbul's most cherished milestones, having been highlighted in incalculable plays and sonnets, works of art, and books throughout the long term. The 5th scaffold remains in a similar spot in the downtown area to the site of the majestic castle and other significant organizations, like Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque. Lined by anglers, the scaffold offers up awesome perspectives over the encompassing waters with shops, eateries, and narrow bistros to be found underneath it. With seagulls yelling overhead, boats passing underneath, and the towers of mosques to be spied on of the encompassing slopes, the Galata Bridge truly is a climatic spot to visit and is vivacious at practically all times. The antiquated hippodrome was started by Septimius Severus in CE 203 and finished by Constantine the Great in CE 330. This was the focal point of Byzantine public life and the location of amazing games and chariot races, yet additionally factional clashes. Today, there isn't a large part of the hippodrome left to see, with the exception of a little segment of the display dividers on the southern side. However, the At Meidani Park, which currently remains on the site, is home to an assortment of landmarks. On the northwest side is a wellspring, introduced to the Ottoman king by the German Emperor William II in 1898. Then, at that point, traveling southwest are 3 antiquated landmarks: a 20-meter-high Egyptian pillar from Heliopolis, the serpent column brought here from Delphi by Constantine, and a stone monolith that initially was clad in gold-shrouded bronze plating until they were taken by the fighters of the Fourth Crusade in 1204. The core of present-day Istanbul, the enormous and energetic Taksim Square, lies solidly in the focal point of the city, encompassed by innumerable shops and cafes, lodgings, and noteworthy destinations. Not just a well-known vacation spot and significant transportation center point, it additionally has heaps of public occasions, including marches to fights occurring. Other than being home to one of the last green spaces nearby, it likewise envelops the noteworthy Republic Monument with the enormous, lofty, and current Taksim Mosque ascending behind it. Notwithstanding its incalculable foundations, Taksim borders the multi-reason Ataturk Cultural Center, which has shows, plays, and shows, while a beguiling legacy cable car line additionally wanders its direction through the square. Simply a bounce, skip, and hop away from Topkapi Palace, and effectively visited a short time later, this significant gallery complex unites a variety of curios from both Turkey and all through the Middle East, which moves throughout the tremendous broadness of history of this district. There are 3 separate areas in the gallery perplexing, every one of which is deserving of a visit. The Museum of the Ancient Orient shows an assortment zeroed in on the Middle East pre-Islamic craftsmanship and legacy. The principal archaeology museum houses sculpture and burial places, including the renowned stone caskets from Sidon, Lebanon that were uncovered by Ottoman modeler Osman Hamdi Bey. Additionally here, you will observe Istanbul through the Ages display room, which assists you with imagining the city's tremendous and epic history. The historical center's third structure is the tiled pavilion, worked by Mehmet the Conqueror, which houses a wide scope of ceramic workmanship. Before we move further on, a quick reminder to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the ring bell if you want to see our future content. Brimming with excellent old structures, clamoring organizations, glorious holy places, and temples. The winding cobbled roads of Fener and Balat are a treat to investigate. Lying close by the Golden Horn on the European side of Istanbul, the 2 notable areas are progressively famous with sightseers because of their beautiful roads and exquisite feeling. Previously home to enormous Greek and Jewish populaces, the locale currently has an abundance of fascinating memorable destinations, like the striking Fener Greek Orthodox College, Artemis Synagogue, and Bulgarian Iron Church. Besides taking in all the alluring engineering, you can likewise stop by its magnificent nearby cafes and bistros with endless collectibles shops and markets. The Spice Bazaar in Istanbul, Turkey is probably the biggest market in the city. Situated in the Eminönü quarter of the Fatih locale, it is the most well-known covered shopping complex after the Grand Bazaar. A few reports are recommending that the name of the marketplace was first New Bazaar. Then, at that point, it got its name Egyptian Bazaar, since it was working with the incomes from the Ottoman Eyalet of Egypt in 1660. The word Mısır has a 2-sided connotation in Turkish, Egypt and maize. For this reason, at times the name is wrongly deciphered as Corn Bazaar. The market was, and still is, the middle for Flavor Exchange Istanbul. However, as of late, shops of different kinds are bit by bit supplanting the vendors of flavors. The actual structure is important for the Kuliye complex of the new mosque. The incomes from the leased shops inside the market building were utilized for the upkeep of the mosque. A strict treat for the faculties, Istanbul's bright and turbulent Spice Bazaar is fun and fragrant spot to investigate. One of the most renowned and famous canvas shopping buildings in the city, its flavor-loaded slows down and shops lie in the Fatih locale, within strolling distance of the Blue Mosque and Hagia Sophia. Underlying the 1660s, the market displays impeccable engineering with in excess of 85 shops, currently covering its rich indoor roads. Other than purchasing a wide range of vivid flavors, you can likewise search for keepsakes and desserts here. There's beginning and end from dried products of the soil to hand-created gems and materials discounted. The Basilica cistern has been giving Istanbul inhabitants water since the 6th century, when it was requested worked by the Roman Emperor Justinian. A visit leaves explorers going wild over with regards to the innovation the antiquated Romans used to assemble this compositional miracle that was extremely best in class for its day. The underground reservoir, only a couple of steps from the Blue Mosque, was based on the site of a basilica that was built in the 3rd century. Known as the Sunken Palace, the storage can hold up to 2.8 million cubic feet of water. The reservoir is one of the areas utilized in From Russia with Love, a James Bond thrill ride recorded in 1963. For some guests, touring in Istanbul is as much with regards to shopping as exhibition halls and fantastic attractions, and the Grand Bazaar is the place where everybody comes. This enormous covered market is essentially the world's first shopping center, taking up an entire city quarter, encompassed by thick dividers between the Nuri Osmaniye Mosque and Beyazıt Mosque. The Beyazıt Mosque, worked in 1498-1505, itself involves the site of Theodosius I's Forum and has a design propelled by the Hagia Sophia. Access to the market is through one of 11 entryways from where a labyrinth of vaulted roof laneways, lined by shops and slows down selling each Turkish keepsake and handiwork you could envision, cover the region. The different exchanges are still for the most part isolated into specific areas, which makes perusing more straightforward. Close to the marketplace's Divanialu Caddisi entrance is the burned column. This stump, still 40 meters high, of a porphyry section was set up by Constantine the Great in his discussion. Until 1105, it bore a bronze sculpture of Constantine. Dolmabahce Palace, situated in the Besiktas locale of Istanbul, Turkey, on the European shoreline of the Bosphorus waterway, filled in as the really authoritative focus of the Ottoman Empire from 1856 to 1887 and from 1909 to 1922. Extravagant, rich, and excellent are only a portion of the descriptive words used to portray the Dolmabahce Palace, which has been contrasted with the Palace of Versailles. Inherent to the 19th century, utilizing 14 tons of gold leaf, Turkey's most captivating castle mixes customary Ottoman engineering with the European styles of neoclassical, Baroque, and Rococo. Home to 6 rulers from 1856 to 1924, it likewise is home to the world's biggest Bohemian gem crystal fixture, a gift from Queen Victoria. The Dolmabahce Palace's setting is staggering. It was worked along the Bosphorus shore. Kora signifies country in Greek, and this lovely church lays right on the external old Constantinople city dividers. The primary Kora church was most likely worked here in the 5th century, however. What you see currently is the structure's 6th recreation, as it was annihilated totally in the 9th century and went through a few facelifts from the 11th to 1400s of years. The congregation was transformed into a mosque after the Ottoman victory of Constantinople and turned into a historical center in 1945. In 2020, it was reconverted into a functioning mosque. The landmark is appropriately world popular for its spectacularly energetic 14th century mosaics, safeguarded practically unblemished in the 2 narthexes and fragmentarily in the navy, and the frescoes along with the dividers and vaults. These inconceivable instances of Byzantine masterfulness cover a wide scope of topics, from the lineage of Christ to the New Testament story. Guests to the Sulaymani Mosque say its magnificence and serenity provide them with a rousing feeling of otherworldliness. Situated on the 3rd hill of Istanbul, the mosque was requested to be built in 1550 by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. The mosque, without a doubt, is heavenly, mixing the best of Islamic and Byzantine design. The mosque was broadly harmed throughout the long term, including during World War I when a shoot broke out while the nurseries were utilized as a weapons terminal. It was re-established during the 20th century. The mosque is set apart by 4 minarets, demonstrating it was worked by a king. At the point when it was assembled, the vault was the most elevated in the Ottoman Empire.